Whether you're a contractor or a visitor to our plant, safety is our #1 priority. Our goal is to keep you and everyone else at the Dominion Rosemary Power Station safe. You're not just safe, you're NACE safe. The Rosemary Power Station was commissioned in 1990 with the intended purpose of producing electricity during peak demands, as well as supplying steam and chilled water to the mill that was located adjacent to this site. While we no longer send steam or chilled water, we do continue to produce electrical power utilizing 2 gas turbines and a steam turbine. When called upon to operate, Rosemary Power Station produces enough electricity to power more than 15,000 homes during the summer and winter peak times. Before beginning work, it's necessary that you understand a few basic rules, policies, and hazards at our site. You'll be asked to sign some documentation stating that you've watched this video and understand our safety and environmental rules. The Rosemary Power Station has an outstanding safety record, and we take safety very seriously. Any violation of these safety rules can result in you and your company being restricted from the premises. As a result, payment will only be made for work completed at the time of the restriction. Unless otherwise instructed, contractors should park in the gravel lot across from the administration building, and at times may be required to park outside the main gate due to the limited real estate within the perimeter fencing. Every day that you're visiting or working on the plant site, you'll need to sign in to the visitor's log or have someone from your company sign in everyone who will be on site that day. The visitor's log is located at the main entrance door on the first floor of the administration building. Please remember to sign out when you leave for the day, as this log will be used to verify all personnel have left during emergency response events that require plant-wide evacuations. Evacuation routes are posted throughout the facility, so please familiarize yourself with these routes. In the event of an emergency, notification will be made over the plant PA system or by station employees, and you'll be asked to cease work and report to a muster site. The main rally point is located in the gravel yard located at the northeast corner of the plant. A secondary point is at the south gate adjacent to 13th Street. All of our gates are clearly marked, with the main gate being right off Roanoke Avenue. All delivery should also go through this gate. When unusual conditions exist or maintenance activities are underway that require others to stay clear, yellow or red barricade tape will be used. Yellow tape designates an area where you must use caution. Red tape means there is a dangerous hazard present and you must not enter that area. All barricades are to have a tag affixed containing the following information: reason for barrier, person installing the barrier, and date of barrier installation. A barrier with red danger tape may not be entered unless the person is directly involved with a hazard or permission has been obtained from the person in charge and after verifying proper safety precautions have been taken. You're required to wear standard ANSI-approved PPE, including hard hats, safety glasses with side shields, and protective footwear for the type of hazards you'll be encountering, as well as long pants and sleeved shirt. Other PPE may be required on a job-by-job basis. For example, safety glasses alone are not enough when using a grinder. Most physical activities require gloves for hand protection, and not all gloves are created equal. Specific hazards such as electrical work, hot work, and cutting hazards call for specific gloves for these tasks. Hard hats, safety glasses, and safety toe shoes are required in all areas except the administration building, control room, and warehouse offices. Hearing protection is required while the plant is operating or whenever there is a noise-producing evolution underway. In the production of electricity, Rosemary Power Station uses multiple chemicals in bulk for water and steam treatment, or in the generation of pure water for use in our steam systems. The station burns natural gas as our primary fuel in the summer season and number 2 diesel fuel in the winter months. There is a 2 million gallon fuel oil storage tank located across the railroad tracks to the west of the plant. Our natural gas supply piping is buried beneath the entry road until it emerges within the plant's gas yard located at the south side of the property. There are 2 large storage tanks for acid and caustic storage located in or around the demineralizer building, as well as some smaller totes and drums of chemicals located next to the cooling tower and within the steam turbine building. Treat all leaks as potentially harmful and report any leak to a station employee as soon as possible. Stay clear of all pumps and motors as they may start without warning or prior notice. Also, be aware of valves and switches that are operated remotely, as these too may change position without any warning. There are multiple steam and water systems that may have hot surfaces throughout the facility. Do not touch or grab any uninsulated surface unless you first check to see if that surface is hot. If in doubt, always ask an employee or call the control room for assistance. Our company policy prohibits smoking in any building on this site, nor is it allowed within 50 feet of the fuel storage area, the propane tank, or within 35 feet of an active hot work permit area. However, we do have designated smoking areas outside where you'll find suitable containers for disposing of your cigarette butts. We have a no butts on the ground policy, so ensure you dispose of your cigarette butts properly. E-cigarette smoking policy is treated the same as regular cigarettes. Here at Rosemary Power Station, there are certain areas that are locked and require a security access badge to enter. These areas include the control room, gas turbine control cubicles, and the switchgear room located in the steam turbine building. These areas should never be entered without permission from the control room and require plant personnel escorts for access. The remaining part of this video relates specifically to our contractors. For your safety as a visitor, we'll ask that you also sign off on several documents stating you understand the rules here at our plant. As a contracted employee, you and your company will need to provide proof of insurance, such as an insurance verification form and a signed purchase order acceptance page before you'll be allowed to start work on the plant site. A valid driver's license is also required to operate any vehicle on the grounds of the plant. Prior to beginning your work each day, a NACE Safe Work Permit must be generated for all jobs performed on the plant site. The Safe Work Permit is a guide for discussion in the pre-job brief and provides documentation that a pre-job brief was conducted. It identifies safety and environmental risks associated with the work to be performed and will require both NACE personnel and contractors to fill out completely. A copy of the Safe Work Permit will be kept in the control room and another will be given to you for review at the job location. Before leaving the site at the end of the day, all personnel must individually sign off of this form just as they signed on earlier. Before beginning work on a system or component, a lockout/tagout will likely be required. Ensure that equipment is locked out, tagged out in accordance with the plant lockout/tagout procedures, and never leave the plant with your personal locking devices in place without obtaining permission from the control room. A hot work permit must be issued before any hot work is performed within the station premises. Hot work includes welding, cutting with a torch, grinding, or any spark or flame-producing activity. The area should be free of flammable material to a 35-foot radius of the work. Welding ground shall be connected as close as possible to the material being worked on. The contractor is required to provide a qualified fire watch with a fire extinguisher during the work. Do not use fire extinguishers already in place as they are for emergency use only. If hot work is performed on any fuel piping, it must be first purged with either compressed air or inert gas such as nitrogen. Any procedure such as this must first be discussed with the control room operator and approved before work can begin. The fire watch must remain at the job site for a minimum of 30 minutes after the work is completed to verify that there is no possibility of fire. Welding in a well-traveled area will require the use of welding curtains or shields to prevent eye injury to other employees. Welding overhead or in an area that allows slag to fall will require additional safeguards. Welding may produce fumes and gases hazardous to health. Avoid breathing these fumes and gases. Use adequate ventilation. Before hooking up any of your equipment, you must first get approval from the control room operator. They will also provide assistance in locating an electrical receptacle, compressed air, or plant water connections. A ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, is required when any electrical power tool or extension cord is used anywhere in the plant. You must also contact the control room if you need a jumper or temporary bypass. At no time is a contractor allowed to open or close valves or electrical breakers or change the status of any equipment. You'll need to contact the control room operator for assistance if this is needed. A personal fall arrest system shall be utilized and attached to an appropriate anchorage where there is a potential fall hazard of greater than 4 feet, or when working within 11 feet of an exposed edge, floor, or wall opening and no other restraining device or handrail is in place. A combination of high-pressure and temperature process piping containing air, fuel, water, and steam is used to produce electricity in the plant. Steam is used throughout the plant and is the main force that turns the turbine generator. Pressures range from as little as 5 pounds per square inch to over 2,000 pounds per square inch, with temperatures ranging from ambient to over 950 degrees Fahrenheit. Most piping that can cause thermal injuries is insulated, but there are still exposed metal components that can cause serious burns. Do not touch or grab any non-insulated piping or valves without first knowing its temperature. There are many types of solvents and chemicals on site. A hazardous materials label marks these containers, and some may be accompanied by a safety data sheet. Always use extreme caution when dealing with any of these elements. Any chemicals brought onto the plant, whether they are to be used here or just happen to be on your vehicle, require an SDS sheet. No exceptions. Contractors are responsible for properly disposing of all hazardous waste or chemicals brought onto the site, or hazards that may have been created during the course of the contracted work. High voltage electricity is an ever-present fact of life at Rosemary Power Station. All high voltage sources are clearly labeled. The main switchyard is kept locked for everyone's safety. Voltages used and produced here start at 24 volts DC and go all the way to 230 kilovolts. If you have any concerns, talk to your supervisor before proceeding. Also, be aware that any Rosemary Power Station employee is authorized to stop your work if it is deemed unsafe. As you've noticed, we're located in the middle of a residential and business section of Roanoke Rapids. We ask that you never discharge any liquids, including water, into the storm drains. And note that any work performed in or near streams or these drains should be approved by the power station management. The storage of all non-hazardous waste, hazardous waste, petroleum, or chemicals must be done in a manner to prevent leakage or potential surface runoff. Unless you've been directed by our management, we require secondary containment measures or equipment for all containers larger than 55 gallons. As for our spill prevention and response, any oil or chemical spill to the ground or water must be reported, and in some cases reported and documented. If this happens while you're on our site, please contact the control room and a member of our response team will assist you. We also believe it's important to protect local wildlife. No bird nest or other wildlife should be disturbed on this property. We also ask that all wildlife injuries or deaths be reported to the station staff. An electronic listing of all chemicals and material safety data sheet or safety data sheets are available for you to view in both the Environmental Compliance Office and the control room. Know the key location of safety showers throughout our facility and never block these areas with your vehicles or other equipment. As with most sites, confined spaces require an entry permit. Make sure this is obtained before entering. Tool modification is also not allowed under any circumstances. All tools must be used according to the manufacturer guidelines. The work we do can be dangerous, so our first and foremost fundamental goal is to send every employee, contractor, and visitor home safe and sound each and every day. We want all of our contractors and employees to work together to ensure a safe working environment for everyone here on site, with 0 illnesses and 0 injuries. That's the only acceptable standard of performance. For your safety as a contractor, we'll ask that you also sign off on several documents stating you understand the rules here at our plant. Remember to always stop, think, act, and review. And to pay particular attention to fall protection, barricades, confined spaces, equipment isolation, and electrical safety so that no one gets hurt.